Hey, and good evening, everyone. It's Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. Sunday, December the 6th. We are into December, and that means we are also 19 days away from Christmas. Going to be a different one this year for sure, but let's get down to business here, and let's talk about the week that was and how things are shaping up this week. As we know, seasonally, usually December is a pretty good month, week leading up to Christmas. And in between Christmas and New Year's, quite often markets tend to go higher. And certainly we've started off the year pretty strong. And let's just take a look at what we got going into Monday morning here just quickly. Right now, Dow's down a little bit. S&P is down a little. Everything's kind of slipped into the red here. I know the NASDAQ was up a little bit higher earlier on this evening and was up in the green. Now it's slipped into the red. Oil down a little bit. Gold just hanging on to some gains here. Silver down a little bit. And yeah, some interesting themes last week that we'll get into here shortly. Some of the themes that we saw, one thing that I saw that was kind of interesting was the VIX started to move up while the markets were moving up higher. Always a little bit of a red flag or a warning sign that maybe we are heading for a little bit of a pullback here. I can't see it being a big one, but we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, the other big story was the dollar breaking down and interest rates creeping up to that 1% level. Ooh, 1%. Would never have thought I'd be saying that, but yeah, 1%. So let's get into the markets here. Let's take a look at what we got. The transports again pushing to close at pretty close to an all-time high here on the transports. It always bodes well for the markets going higher when the transports are continuing to go higher as well. That's sort of a Dow theory thing. You can see RSI here continuing higher. We did so on some pretty good volume. Stochastics still looking pretty strong. So, you know, this trend looks like it still wants to go higher, which means that'll take the markets higher. Transports on a week, you can see here again on the week up 1.4%, looking nice and strong. And the Dow, of course, following through, all-time high, and through the 30,000 on Friday quite handily. RSI continuing to be strong. Volume still over average over the last couple of weeks, but still going. And stochastics still looking good. Trend is your friend, as they say. Weekly, again, just saying the same thing. Everything looks pretty strong and the trend looks to go higher. The Qs, again, were made closed at an all-time high, not necessarily an all-time high, but closed there at an all-time high. And RSI, we're getting up into the overbought area on the Qs, maybe. Certainly stochastics and RSI indicating that we're getting up there. It doesn't mean we're going to have a big pullback. It could be just consolidation. But the Qs are looking pretty strong on a weekly basis. Nice breakout here from this point, this area of resistance. Nice breakout on a week. Again, everything looking positive. Our moving averages all going up. Only problem here with the Qs is the volumes really started to drop off here, and it might explain why some of you're seeing some call buying or call selling, or or the VIX, just basically the VIX going up, is people are starting to take out some insurance or protection on some of these gains that have happened since this March low. You can see here it's been quite a run. Never would have anticipated that in the middle of a pandemic and all these economic shutdowns. So here we are in the SPY. Let's say sort of same story here. Everything looking really strong. Trend is your friend. Looks like it wants to go higher. On a week, we're up 1.7% and still looking strong. Volume was a little bit stronger than the week before. So it looks like we're heading into December on a strong note and probably maybe continue higher, probably I would say. IWM, a nice breakout today or on the Friday. You can see here just banging our heads, and then Friday just ripped through this level of resistance here and off to the races. Again, getting a little bit overbought here. Did the move on Friday on some a little bit more volume, and again everything all the indicators looking very strong on a week. Again on the week we're up over 2%. Small caps obviously being one of the better performance of the week, and of course small caps are the indicator for recovering economy. So this is the TLT. Again, we're breaking down here on this. This is the bond. This is the value of the bonds, not the bond yields, because they move in inversely. So as the yields go up, the value of the bonds drop. And you can see here TLT, which is the 20-year bond. You can see it dropping back down here, and we're right down near an area of prior support, which I think we're going to bounce here a little bit. But again, I think the trend is definitely down. RSI heading lower, stochastics well below 50, so rallies do tend to get sold when you're in this area, and I suspect we'll get a bit of a bounce here, but I do think that we're heading for more than 1% on the yields, and you can see here we're at 0.97. Again, I would expect a bit of a pullback here. But I do think overall, I think we are going to go higher on the yields. Again, not a big number. It's 1% would be a big psychological breakthrough, obviously. But I do think the yields are going to go higher here. The dollar, again, this was a real interesting. Even Friday and Thursday and Friday just got hammered. So down here, big gap down on Thursday, bit of an engulfing candle yesterday, Friday I should say, not yesterday. But you can see here it's probably going to bounce here. We may even fill the gap, but again, I would say the trend is still a downward until we break this line here and maybe start to put in some bottoming pattern. But I think the dollar is looking weak, and I think it's going to continue to weaken, which of course in the long term bodes well for emerging markets. It bodes well future for gold. This is not a good time for gold, as I mentioned, seasonally. December is not a great time. We get into the new year. Gold should do better. Quickly, let's take a look at some of the sectors this week. See what performed well. Again, the S&P breaking out here. XLY just sort of stalled here at this level. Same with communications. Technology, again, the Q is breaking out. Trend is your friend. I think it still looks like it's going to go higher. Industrials, I believe CAT performed pretty well last week. And of course, Boeing's been on a bit of a tear, probably bringing this industrials up. Materials looking like they're going to bounce back here. Energy's had a really good run here. From back in early November, we've had a great run. Looks like we're going to break out to higher highs here on the energy. And yeah, everything looking fairly strong. Financials, of course, are going to do well in a rising interest rate environment, which is what I think we have. So I've been watching financials this week, because I think if interest rates continue to go higher, then financials do well, and it looks like energy is maybe going to consolidate here, but I think again the trend is looking higher on that with technology. Okay, let's wrap up with some quick scans here. Again, I'm still watching ABUS. Looks like had a bit of a pullback here, which is didn't want to go chasing it up here. Nice reversal, and seems to be holding here in this level, this $4 level. So I'm going to be looking at that on Monday. Stochastics down under 40, under 50, which is, but it looks like the RSI is turning back up here. Maybe stochastics turning back up, and so I think it looks fairly promising. AMD, I'm actually holding a little AMD. I got in this week, sold a lot of it on this pop here. I believe that was back on Wednesday, but I held on to a little bit. Held through this pullback here. I think it's going to break out here. I still think it's going to go to 100, as I mentioned in the room, and so I'm just going to hold on to a little bit of that. EEM again. This is a play. I've watched this to pull back, maybe with the dollar bouncing back up again, but I still think that this is a good long-term play, especially if the dollar remains under pressure, continues to weaken. It's got a really nice chart. I'd watch Bitcoin, liking Bitcoin for a breakout here. It does look like it wants to break out. 24 here is the high, and this is one way to play Bitcoin if you don't want to buy the actual coin. You can get some of this GBTC. Actually, I was looking at it when it was back here, and then it popped up on the Monday, and really didn't feel like chasing it after this massive gap up. So it's a bit of a risky bid there, because it does tend to move around quite a bit, and you know how Bitcoin can drop $2,000 or $3,000 in one overnight. So on some bad news. So anyway, and this is I've still got a little bit of a position in gold. Had a nice pop up here, and we're getting a bit of a pullback. We're right at the 200-day moving average on GDX, which is the gold miners. Again, I'm kind of just holding this small position right now. I really think that as we get into the new year, when seasonality kind of kicks in on this, I think we're going to have a nice run on gold and silver. So hanging on to that. Again, interest rate play. If the interest rates are going to go up, KRE. You can see here KRE has already had a nice gap up and run over the last couple of weeks. This is a weekly chart, by the way. So you can see here I've had a nice run. So we could be good for a run up to 58, 59 on KRE if we get a continuation move on the interest rates and going over 1%. Just looking at some of the EV stocks, obviously they've been hot, and now they've done this pullback over the last week or so. So we're finding some support here. Be keeping an eye on those. Maybe we're going to bounce back. Here's NEO again, right into an area of prior resistance, where we broke out from. Now we're back, and that resistance is now support. And the only thing I don't like about this is stochastics are kind of looking a little weak. MACD definitely looking weak. So something to keep an eye on. Maybe if we do get a turn back up in RSI, we'll take another run higher again. Silver, same comment as gold. Again, I think it did a little better last week than the gold trade. And again, it's also as well as a poor man's gold. It's also and it has industrial uses, so it's a bit of a dual play there. And if we get a recovering economy, silver will do well as also. Taco, again, I mentioned this one back here, and it's been strong ever since there was a lot of insider buying, and continues to move up here. And we're into an area where we had some prior resistance, breakout point, and then nice gap up. So I think Taco continues to go here. This is the USO, and it just shows how strong the oil market has been. Vietnam, this is another one I like. Vietnam, another emerging market play, and almost a counter Chinese play, as some of the companies move out of manufacturing in China and try to diversify a little bit into some other countries. Vietnam could be a big beneficiary of that. And that's it. So I hope everyone's had a great weekend. And yeah, so this is my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade, if you haven't checked it out. And of course, as usual, we will be kicking off Monday morning, Rebel Trading Room, 8:30 a.m. live on YouTube. Normally, it's Norm and Carlos taking us through the pre-market show, and then we'll be trading market open at 9:30. Hope you can join us then. In the meantime, have a great rest of the evening, what's left of it, wherever you are. Bye for now.